Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the Bird House. It is Tuesday, April 9th, the day after the big eclipse that happened. For some of you, definitely didn't happen so much for us in Rochester. It was very, very cloudy, but the sky still went totally dark. It's pretty cool. We'd love to know what kind of things you experienced during the eclipse. You can always send us in your pictures or videos for us to share. When we compile them all together, we'll do a broadcast kind of the aftermath of the eclipse. You can throw in the comments what kind of things you saw or heard during it or leading up to it, and what kind of bird activity was going on throughout too. We'd love to know all of that. So you can absolutely put those in the comments. And as always, you can just say hi, or if you have any questions, you can throw those in there too. But we'll get started here. I've got a little bit of an update and events going on. So we're going from one event to another. This weekend, this Friday and Saturday, we have author Stan Tequila coming into town. So he's going to be really the kickoff for our 30th anniversary celebration that we'll be having going on at the store this weekend and into next week. So Stan comes in Thursday night, and right away on Friday morning, we're going to be doing a bird walk of the Brickyard Trail, and that's going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. We are going to be meeting at the Brighton Library as far as parking goes. We'll be meeting in that parking lot, and then we'll be walking down the street to the Brickyard Trail. So that's going to be at 9 o'clock this Friday. You can visit our website for our event list for more information. So that's going to be at thebirdhouseny.com. So you can check it out there for some more information about that hike. And that's going to be Friday morning. And then Friday evening, Stan will be giving his presentation about owls, the majestic hunters. It's based on his newest owls book. So that's going to be Friday evening at 7 p.m. and that's going to be at Whitehaven Memorial Park. They've got a nice big spot for us to be at. So that is going to be at that park at the All Seasons Chapel. It's all the way in the back of the park. There's a nice big parking lot. And we will be hosting Stan there for his wonderful talk about owls. So we look forward to seeing you there for that. That is, again, Friday at 7 p.m. So that's this Friday evening. We will have Stan in town to give that talk. And then you probably know Stan, too, from this field guide, his Birds of New York field guide, which we are always promoting. It has all the birds organized by color, so it's super popular. But he has written hundreds of different birding and nature books about all kinds of topics, from birds and owls to mushrooms and wolves and bears. So he's a really interesting speaker. We really look forward to seeing you come to his event on Friday. We're really excited. And then after the event on Friday, he'll have books for sale. He can sign your books. But then we will have a book signing here at the store on Saturday morning with Stan as well before he heads out of town. So that'll be this Saturday here at the store from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. You can meet Stan. You can chat with him a little bit longer. And so that's this Saturday. So Friday, Saturday are going to be nice and full with different events as we bring Stan Tequila into town. We're really excited about that. And Friday should be a lot of fun to see his talk on owls. We'll also be streaming it live. If you're not in the Rochester area, we'll be streaming it so you can check it out that way. So that is going on this weekend. We're really, really excited. Getting to our birding update, there's no orioles yet. We keep getting calls and questions about when are the orioles coming. Really, we don't hear reports of orioles in the area until the last week of April or so. And it's really early May when they are rolling in some real numbers. So we still have some time. You still have time. We are getting a whole bunch of different oriole feeders in the store. So if you're looking for a new feeder, we have them for you. We have the jelly. We actually have 3 different types of jelly now. So we expanded our jelly selections, our jelly offerings, and we have it all ready for you. So you can get all prepared for the orioles later this for later this month. And then the hummingbirds too. Hummingbirds won't be here for about another month or so. It's usually early May when they start to roll in, and around Mother's Day, so around mid-May, is when they really are coming in some bigger numbers. So you still have time to prepare for the hummingbirds, to make sure you've got your feeders all ready, that they're cleaned out from the year before. So you still have time to take care of that before these birdies come back into the area. And any day now we'll start to hear about the mason bees emerging. I was looking at my house the other day. It still was all capped off, so the bees haven't emerged yet, but they will be soon. So any day now, could even be on a day like today when it's nice and sunny, that we start to see the mason bees come out of their houses. So that's going to be any time now. If you're seeing some mason bee activity, absolutely let us know, because it'll be any day now. It's usually around mid-April is when I start to see them flying out of their houses. So really excited. Any day now we'll start to hear about mason bees. And the migrants are coming back. This time of the year is when we start seeing some nesting behaviors. We start seeing birds coming back to the area. I pulled some pictures and reports from years past around this time to give you an idea of the things you can be in the lookout for in your backyard. Things like this bird here. This is called a brown thrasher. They are a migratory bird. They're in the mimic family, and they'll be making their way back to the area this month. So keep your eye out underneath your feeders, especially for birds like this. They don't really come to feeders so much. They're not a typical backyard bird, but as they're migrating back into the area, they're hungry, and you might just happen to see them underneath your feeders, like this photo here. So this is called a brown thrasher. Also in the mimicking family, later this month, we'll start to get more reports of gray catbird. And if you put your oriole feeder out early, you might get gray catbirds coming to it before you see any kind of Baltimore oriole. Gray catbirds will eat the grape jelly. They'll eat oranges. So you can attract them to your yard with those. And while it's still a little bit early for them, there have been some reported in the area, and we will start to hear about more gray catbirds coming back later on this month. But what you might see right now are mockingbirds. This is the northern mockingbird, and they have that really long tail. They're overall very grayish kind of color. They will sometimes hunker down in trees like this picture shows here, but you can really tell it's a mockingbird when they're in flight, especially because they have these bright white patches on their wings. So when they're in flight, you can see that bright color of white. So be on the lookout for mockingbirds because they are definitely around. On Saturday, we were giving our bluebirds talk in person at Whitehaven Memorial Park, and right outside the window, there were two mockingbirds kind of eating berries and chasing each other around. So they're definitely back in the area. They're migratory as well, but some of them will stay here all winter. So you might have been seeing them throughout the winter months a little bit, but you'll start to see them in larger quantities as we get into the month. Now, something that kind of looks like a mockingbird as far as coloration goes, kind of overall grayish, but a little bit more blue, but a lot smaller, is this little guy. This is called a blue-gray gnat catcher. And they look like a little warbler almost, but they'll start to filter into the area as well this time of the year. And I really like this bird because they always look kind of angry, like they have like an eyebrow that's furrowed, that they're mad about something. But this cute little guy is coming back into the area, as well as some of the birds you can find by the water. You'll start to see more great blue heron. You'll start to see more birds by the water. You might be lucky enough to see this bird is an American bittern, which you can find usually along the edges of ponds or marshes. They blend in really, really well with the cattails, though, so they can be quite hard to pick out, but they are coming back into the area this time of the year as well. We're getting into the time where we'll start to get some reports of warblers coming in. You might also see kinglets. This is a golden crowned kinglet, and there's also what's called a ruby crowned kinglet. Both of these are small. They kind of hop around in the trees and bushes and shrubs, and they can have kind of the same habits as the warblers do. So sometimes they get mistaken for warblers, but you might see these out this time of the year as well. So this is the golden crowned kinglet, and then this is the ruby crowned kinglet. So a couple other little birds to be on the lookout for. If you see something that you are pretty sure is a warbler, though, it's going to most likely be the yellow rumped warbler, which are pretty numerous in quantities as far as the warblers that we have in the area, and they come back fairly early. So you might start to hear the the yellow rumped warbler as you're out and about. So you might start to see them and hear them. But right now, it's getting to be nesting time. So be on the lookout for birds showing signs of nesting behavior, especially things like bluebirds. You might start to see them with the little pieces of nesting material in their bill, some little pieces of grass as they start the nesting process. It is that time of the year. Tree swallows also will be coming back, and they nest in houses as well. So if you have bluebird houses out, especially if you've got that wide open space that bluebirds really like, you might also get things like tree swallows. This is a picture of a tree swallow behind me too in my background. You might start to get them checking out your bird houses as well if you're lucky enough to have that wide open space that they prefer for their nesting. But then also be on the lookout for chickadees. This is the time of the year when chickadees start to check out their cavities for nesting. So they might go in your bird houses. They can go into hollow trees, hollow stumps, things like that. And this is a picture from a couple of years ago around this time from Chris, who had the chickadee nesting in a tree stump in her yard. So they will use moss for their nest building. So if you see a little chickadee with some moss in its bill, sure enough, it is starting a nest somewhere. It is working on that whole nesting process. So it's an exciting time of the year. And then you might see the woodpeckers start to excavate their holes. Pileated woodpecker, red-bellied woodpecker, downy woodpecker, hairy woodpecker. They will build their own nest site, if you will. They'll excavate a hole. They don't build a nest like, say, your chickadee or your bluebird do, but they will just lay their eggs on a pile of wood chips inside of their nesting cavity, and that is where they will incubate them. So it's about that time of the year to be on the lookout for woodpeckers that are clinging onto the side of trees, pecking some big holes in it. They might be using those for nesting sites. They will make their own, but they'll also use birdhouses too if the hole is big enough. And you might start to see more blackbirds coming to your feeders, especially things like red-winged blackbird, brown-headed cowbird, the grackles, of course. They will form mixed flocks, and they've been coming to feeders for about the last month or so. But as we get more and more into the spring months, you might see them at your feeders because, again, they're migrating back into the area, they're hungry, and they're looking for some easy sources of food. Some sparrows to be out on the lookout for are going to be things like this eastern towhee, which is in the sparrow family, and they're known for singing. Their little hearts out there. They have the call that sounds like drink your tea. And this is a picture of an eastern towhee that's just belting out its little song. We'll start to see chipping sparrows coming back into the area. Chipping sparrows are small with that little chestnut colored cap on the top of their head. They have the black line that goes through their eye. They look a little bit like the American tree sparrows that we've had in the winter months. Those American tree sparrows are going to be on their way further north, and things like the chipping sparrow are making their way back up here into this part of town. So yeah, look out for things like chipping sparrows underneath your feeders, field sparrows. Here's a picture of a field sparrow here. White-throated sparrows, another thing to look for underneath your feeder. Sometimes they're brownish in color like this. Sometimes their colors are more pronounced, where they're the crown on top of their head being black instead of brown. So they're on their way back. And then here is a tree sparrow. So we'll probably get some reports of them over the next couple of weeks, but they are making their way back up north. So here's a white-crowned sparrow. Looks pretty similar to the white-throated sparrow, except it's larger. It doesn't have that white patch on its throat, and it's also missing that yellow spot in between its bill and its eye, which the white-throated sparrow has. So you can see this yellow patch here that's usually visible with the white-throated sparrow is not visible with the white crowned sparrow. And then song sparrows, I've been hearing lots of song sparrows, including during the eclipse yesterday. As it was getting darker and darker and darker, there was a song sparrow that was singing its little heart out, even with it being so, so dark. So listen for them because they are around and they are singing quite a bit now this time of the year. So thank you guys for tuning in. Christopher says, yay for springtime birding. I agree. It is starting to feel like spring out there. We'll be doing another live stream on Saturday, of course, when we have Stan Tequila here doing his book signing, but we'll even be back before that. We'll be back on Friday as we stream the Owls, the Majestic Hunters talk that Stan Tequila is giving. Absolutely, you want to come out for it if you're in the Rochester area. It is not to be missed. He is a fantastic speaker, and he'll be giving that talk again at 7 o'clock this Friday at Whitehaven Memorial Park. We really look forward to seeing you there. It is completely free. It's good for all ages too. If you, even if you've got some kids that are interested in birding and nature, it's a fabulous talk for them as well. So we will see you hopefully in person on Friday. And if you are in the Rochester area, that walk with Stan, that guided hike with Stan is Friday morning at 9 a.m. Again, we're meeting at the Brighton Public Library in order to do a hike of the Brickyard Trail. So all that information you can find on our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com. You can go on there, see all of our events that we have coming up, including everything for our 30th anniversary, which this Stan event is really the kickoff for. And then next week we'll be doing giveaways and things like that. So really exciting time. We're celebrating 30 years here at the Birdhouse, and we appreciate you guys for watching. We'll be back soon with another broadcast. And until then, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later on this weekend.